Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. The daily update from the Ukrainian front. I will use as always one Ukrainian media outlet and one Russian media outlet, so we get light by both of them. Nevertheless, this is a macro overview of the events, and let's start with the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians usually start with a general summary of what happened in the past 24 hours, and then they're going to talk about what happened in north, then northeast, then east, southeast, and then south. The Russians use a map and with bullets, different colors for the bullets, different events. So let's go and start with the Ukrainians from Ukrinform. It is from today, the 6th of July 2023. Defense forces advance in south, gain foothold near Bakhmut. This is according to the Ukrainians. So Russian troops focus their main efforts on Liman, Bakhmut, Avdivka and Marinka directions. 20 combat engagements took place there during the day, the same thing yesterday. During the day, the enemy launched 41 strikes and 42 MLRS attacks on the positions of Ukrainian troops and populated settlements. In particular, the Russian army shelled peaceful settlements. Tra-la-la. Let's move on. Last night, Russian invaders launched a missile attack on Ukraine. 3 out of 10 caliber cruise missiles fired by the enemy hit Lviv city. During the day, they used from the sea, from the Black Sea, the Russians. They used from the warships and from submarines. During the day, Ukraine's air forces launched 6 strikes on enemy personnel concentration areas. Missile and artillery units hit an enemy manpower, weapons and military equipment cluster, an ammunition depot, 6 artillery systems on firing positions, and 3 electronic warfare systems. This is a general overview. And then we have, starting from the north, and then so they start from Volyn, Polisia, and then they go to Shivershchinya and Slobozanskaya direction, then they go a little northeast. Kupiansk, actually this is in the east already, so let me show you the Russian map here, provided by the Russians. They're north right here, and then they're gonna go here, and then I go here, and then go here, and that's how they're gonna talk about the whole thing. These bullets have different meaning. The blue ones is Ukrainian shelling Russian positions, the red ones are Russians shelling Ukrainian positions. The black dots here are where the troops meet and fight. The yellow bullets are where the Russians down a drone or a helicopter or a Ukrainian jet, and that's about it. If I, let's say, pick this one right here, they're going to tell us that Kursk Governor Roman Starovoyt said that Ukrainian forces had shelled the village, destroying a house. There were no casualties. Okay, so this is how the Russians have it. So let's go back to the Ukrainians. And here it is. In Volyn and Polisia directions, the operational situation has not changed significantly. There were no signs of the formation of offensive groups. The enemy maintains its military presence in Sivershchinya and Slobozanskaya directions. An airstrike was launched on the areas of Kharkiv region. During the day, mortar and artillery attacks were launched on more than 15 settlements, and that is in Sumy region and in Kharkiv region. So let's go and see. Here is Sumy region, and this is Kharkiv region. Russians don't say anything about shelling anything in Sumy, only in Kharkiv right here, which is across from Luhansk. So let's go back to the Ukrainians. In Kupiansk direction, so that's a little bit south of that. Kupiansk is actually right here. Right here is Kupiansk. So they're talking about this direction, where this is like the Russians shelled the shit out of them, and these guys did the same thing here, the Ukrainians. In Kupiansk direction, the Ukrainian soldiers firmly hold the defense. Alright, so it says in Kharkiv region came under enemy artillery and mortar attacks. In Liman direction, this is south of Kupiansk. Liman is, so Kupiansk is right here, Liman is right here. Where am I? Right here, should be someone right here, is Liman. And the Russians say we met 2 times here, and then we tried to blow these guys up here. In Liman direction, during the day, the enemy made attempts with the support of aviation to oust the Ukrainian troops from their positions in the Bilohorivka and Karmazinska Luhansk region, but failed success. Airstrikes were launched in Luhansk region and in Donetsk region. More than 10 settlements were hit by artillery fire in Donetsk region. In Bakhmut direction, we go south a little bit. Under enemy's heavy aircraft and artillery fire, Ukrainian defenders successfully repelled enemy attacks near Ivanivske and Bilahora. So let's see what this is. So Bakhmut is called Artemovsk by the Russians right here. So here, that's where the Ukrainians say something happened, but these guys say nothing happened here, but let's say what happened here. Russian forces defeated Ukrainian troops. That's it. And here, Russian forces struck the control center of Ukraine's 118th Territorial Defense Brigade. And then the Ukrainians are going to go south right here in this area, where is Avdivka. So here is where the forces are fighting face to face. Here a drone probably. Russian air defenses shot down a Ukrainian drone, and here a battle group successfully repelled all attacks by Ukrainian troops. So the Ukrainians are in attack here. Battle groups, okay, the same thing, and the same thing, and the same thing. And here is Donetsk. Ukrainian forces shelled districts of Donetsk. They fired 78 155 millimeter shells at the city. Let's go back to the Ukrainians. In Bakhmut direction, I already said here, the enemy launched an airstrike near Ivanivske Donetsk region. At the same time, Ukrainian soldiers continued to conduct offensive operations to the south and north of the city of Bakhmut. So they claim they are right here, and they operate in the north and south of Bakhmut, which the Russians say nothing. They say only here, Russian forces defeated Ukrainian troops. That's it. That's it. Okay. And gain a foothold. They say, the Ukrainians say that the Ukrainians continue to conduct offensive operations to the south and north of the city of Bakhmut and gain a foothold on the achieved boundaries. More than 15 settlements in Donetsk came under enemy artillery fire. In Avdivka, I showed you those guys that nothing happened there, which is Avdivka is right here. Already spoke about that one. In Avdivka direction, the defense forces continue to restrain the advance of Russian troops in Donetsk region. The enemy launched airstrikes in Donetsk region. At the same time, the enemy fired artillery at more than 10 settlements in the Donetsk region. So we go down a little bit to Marinka direction. Marinka direction is south of Avdivka. So we go here, this is Marinka. The Russians say battles are raging in the city. Here must be an airplane or something. Russian air defenses shot down a Ukrainian Sukhoi 25 aircraft. And here a drone, correct, down a drone here in Marinka. So let's see what the Ukrainians have to say about it. In Marinka direction, our defenders repelled all enemy attacks in the area of the city of Marinka under artillery fire. The occupiers launched an airstrike in Donetsk region. The enemy shelled more than 10 settlements in Donetsk region. In Shakhtarsk direction, the enemy concluded unsuccessful offensive operations near Trabalapa in Donetsk region. An airstrike was launched near Vuhledar. More than 15 settlements in Donetsk region were struck. So they are talking about Vuhledar, which is Ugledar by the Russians right here. So they talk about this area. So let's see what the Russians are saying. So here must be another airplane destroyed. Russian air defenses shot down a Ukrainian Sukhoi 25 aircraft well within the area. Here they attacked here. It says that Ukrainian forces had hit the administration building, firing 2 MLRS rockets. There were no casualties, but 3 civilians were lightly wounded. The strike damaged one of the floors of the left wing of the building. And here is where supposedly they meet face to face. Defending units of the Vostok battle group hammered Ukrainian troops using aviation as well as heavy flamethrower systems and artillery strikes. And here, defenders, the same thing. Defenders units of the Vostok heavy they also the same. They also thwarted the activity of a Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance group. And here, The defending units of the Vostok Battle Group hammered Ukrainian troops using aviation as well as heavy flamethrower systems and artillery strikes. Russian air defenses shot down a Ukrainian drone. So here we have 2 drones shot down by the Russians. And from here we pass into Zaporozhye Oblast. Right here, this is Zaporozhye, this is the line of contact. Let's see what the Ukrainians are saying. In Zaporozhye and Kherson directions, Kherson is south of Zaporozhye or southwest. The enemy, because you have it like this. So this is Zaporozhye and this is Kherson. So it's southwest, west, southwest. In Zaporozhye and Kherson directions, the enemy focuses its main efforts on preventing the advance of Ukrainian troops. Artillery was fired at more than 30 settlements. Okay, and it says that in the Zaporozhye region and in the city of Kherson. In Melitopol and Berdyansk directions, the defense forces of Ukraine continue to go on offensive, gain a foothold on the reached boundaries, inflict fire damage with artillery on identified enemy targets. So let's see where what the Russians are saying about this here. So here, the Russians, all they say is we got hammered with artillery and a drone probably was downed. 2 Ukrainian drones were down, and here Ukrainian forces shot the city, infrastructure, the city again, civilians, 14 shells at the city using cannon artillery, 15 shells. Okay, so that is an update today, the 6th of July 2023. Macro, a view of the front from the Ukrainian perspective and the Russian perspective. They don't really overlap, but in whatever they say, I'm very surprised that the Ukrainians do not talk more about their offensive success, because there are articles where they say, well, we advanced a little bit here, we advanced a little bit over there, but this is a macro representation of whatever update they gave us. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.